Hello, I'm David.
And I'm Lucy.
And welcome to Tudoriferous, the podcast examining the people in the... No.
Examining lives in the Tudor era.
Yes. Oh,
I've done a few more of those than you have.
Yes, I've stopped putting it up on the screen. I'm just trying to do it from memory. Oh, dear. And this is a Cameo episode, so we're not rating, we're just kind of enjoying learning about someone from the past. And today...
Mary of Burgundy.
Hey, Mary the Rich. Here she
Yes.
is, the most engaged woman in history.
Well, we'll come to that. I did feel I was turning this into a little bit of a Mills and Boon, because it is quite a lot of it's about her suitors. And many came to woo her, but only one could win her hand always. But I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest we have a love story here.
Oh, good heavens.
We skirted around Mary's story in several episodes. I mean, Maximilian, obviously, Charles the Bold, Philip the Fair, Margaret of Burgundy. We did quite a lot on Mary and Margaret of Burgundy. Northern Renaissance, I think she was in that. Probably many others I've forgotten. It's just for her.
Oh.
Childhood. Mary Burgundy, as you say, also called Mary the Rich, for what would seem like obvious reasons, but I'm not sure why she's called Mary the Rich, given that her dad had just spent it all in battles. I'm not sure he told all these suitors he'd spent it all. Otherwise, they would have probably said, well, that's what we're here for. Don't call her Mary the Rich if you haven't got any money. She was born in 1457. Her parents were Charles the Bold. He was then still just Commoner Garden Count of Charolais. And Isabella of Bourbon.
Uh-huh.
I don't know whether she was legitimate or not. Nobody in Bourbon apparently was legitimate. When Mary was born, there was a clap of thunder, even though the sky was clear. That meant something.
Yeah.
Charles's parents differed in their attitude to the birth of their granddaughter. His mother, Isabella of Portugal, was delighted, but his father, Philip the Good, didn't bother turning up to the baptism because she was only a girl.
Oh.
And you think, he carried Philippe de Comines at the font, but not his own granddaughter.
Oh, dear.
Philip the Good's illegitimate daughter, one of many, Anne, was given the task of bringing little Mary up. You've got to find uses for all these illegitimate daughters.
Oh,
I think he had, wasn't it 20-something illegitimate children? Some massive amount. The child's godfather was Louis, later to be Louis XI. Now, if you go over to Patreon, you'll hear about how Louis fell out with his father and fled to the court of Philip the Good. And you can hear about it from both sides. Louis, who was very relieved to have found sanctuary in Burgundy, and Charles the Bold, who was very resentful of him being there. So who chose Louis as godfather? I can only assume it must have been Philip the Good.
Yeah.
It can't have been Charles, surely.
Oh.
Sadly, Mary's mother, Isabella, died when Mary was just 8 years old. And sadly, her father didn't. In 1468, Charles the Bold married Margaret of York. And quite often get fairy stories about wicked stepmothers. Well, when Margaret and Mary met, they instantly hit it off and became great friends.
Oh, that is good.
Yeah. And we looked in Margaret's episode about Mary's tribulations. So we won't be going too much into that later, but we'll look more into her potential suitors, of which, as you say, there were many. When Charles became Duke of Burgundy, Mary was heir presumptive, since Charles had no sons. It didn't seem likely he would have any, since although he was married 3 times, he seemed to have spent as little time as possible with his wives. He didn't have any illegitimate children either, since maybe because of the behaviour of his father, Charles was apparently faithful to these wives that he never saw.
Ah.
So that's something.
Good heavens, have we found a positive aspect of Charles the Bold?
We might have done, yes. And apparently he was a good laugh, throwing boots at people's heads, as we heard or will hear in Philip the Comines episode. Potential husbands. And we hear a lot about Mary's potential husbands, and there's a reason for this. As we've said, she was Charles the Bold's only child, so a very sought-after matrimonial bargaining chip. But Charles was very ambitious. He had to be careful whom he chose, since he'd be handing over the reins of his territory to them.
Yeah.
It couldn't be someone who might prove a threat to his own power, and it certainly couldn't be someone who might lose his territory to Louis XI of France. We've come across several people to whom Mary was offered, and there were others, as we'll see. But none of these offers were serious on Charles's part. Charles would dangle Mary in front of people in return for financial or military aid, and then snatch her back again once he got what he wanted. Because he only has one bite at the matrimonial cherry. He can't afford to make a mistake. So who was she offered to? 1462, one of the first was King John of Aragon, who offered his son Ferdinand.
Ah.
Yeah, I mean, we know him.
Yes.
Mary was 5, Ferdinand was 10. He was probably already beating everyone at chess.
Yeah.
But this would have been a good match. Since they both had their problems with France, they could have squeezed Louis between their two territories. And this didn't happen. I'm not sure why not. But it's quite an interesting thought experiment to work out what would, or rather what wouldn't have happened if they had married. Because Ferdinand wouldn't have married Isabella, so no unified Spain. Maximilian wouldn't have married Mary, so no Habsburg Low Countries. Europe would have been very different.
Yes. And you can see that, if you had, even from quite a young age, if you had Ferdinand of Aragon getting involved in the Burgundian court and maybe would be more of a match for Louis XI in terms of politicking.
Yes. Yeah, politicking wasn't Maximilian's strong point, really. It was blundering in, waving his sword about. Yes, if that's what you want. Yeah. 1464, René of Anjou, otherwise known as René of Sicily, otherwise known as René of Jerusalem, suggested his grandson Nicholas. You can see what would have been in it for the notoriously impoverished René. Again, he was looking to create a formidable force against France. He had lands that butted up to Burgundy, so that would have enlarged the territory, something Charles was keen to do.
Yeah. Well, I think René is still riding high on the fact that I can't believe I managed to convince the English to take my daughter to be Henry VI's queen.
Yes. How did that happen? Well, Nicholas was a popular one as well, because we saw in Anne de Beaujeu's episode that she was marked on Nicholas's dance card as well. Mary didn't marry him because he died suddenly.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, that puts a damper on a wedding celebration, doesn't it? Whenever this happened, poison was suspected, but on this occasion it might actually have been so, because it was very well timed to stop the marriage to Mary, and Louis's agents were thought to be behind it. 1466, prepare to groan, it's George, Duke of Clarence.
Oh.
And again, to hear all the machinations surrounding Clarence's proposal, listen to Charles the Bold's episode. Edward IV was not keen. And this was partly because he didn't want his little brother getting too much power, and he would have been immensely powerful. Burgundy had far more clout than England.
Yes.
This annoyed Clarence and led him down the path that would eventually lead to a vat of Malmsey. Edward was backing Anthony Woodville as a husband for Mary, which is not as strange as it sounds. I mean, he's the king's brother-in-law. That would hopefully ensure a link between England and Burgundy.
You can also see how much that would have rubbed up the wrong way the other nobles. Oh, so you don't want your brother, who is a genuine royal prince. You want your fake commoner family. We're descended from Duchess of Luxembourg. Fake commoner family.
Yes, that's true. I hadn't really looked at it from that angle. Yes, that would have horrified everybody, wouldn't it? And it also horrified Mary, because we know she wouldn't have countenanced marrying a commoner, even if he was descended from Duchess of Luxembourg. 1467, the nephew of the Elector Palatine of the Rhine, who was called Philip. No doubt that was another of Charles's help me out and you can have my daughter, sorry, I have my fingers crossed type negotiations. 1469, Charles was said to have offered Mary to Duke Francis of Brittany. It may have been a rumour put about by Charles to annoy Louis, which is quite possible. And Francis was 24 years older than Mary, not that that counts for much really, but 1471, it was the Dauphin of France's turn, the one who was to become Charles VIII. He was 13 years younger than Mary. In fact, he was 1. I can't see Charles the Bold or Mary countenancing that one for 1 minute. No. They would have just been handing Burgundy over to Louis.
Yeah.
I mean, just ask Anna Brittany. She knows a thing or two about this sort of thing.
Yes.
Also, 1471, Louis XI's brother Charles threw his hat into the ring.
That one is just... Hang on. Both the son and the brother, both called Charles. It's like, A, neither of them. You're still both French. But also, did we just accidentally send the letter to the wrong Charles? That's all.
Yeah, because Louis tried to prevent the issuing of the papal bull on the basis of consanguinity. But if Louis's brother was a close blood relative, doesn't that mean his son would be as well? However, Pope Sixtus did grant the papal bull, allowing the marriage. I mean, we know Pope Sixtus is entirely devoid of morals of any type. But Charles died before anything could come of it. Strange that, isn't it?
Yeah. Hang on, Charles the brother.
Charles the brother.
Not Charles the Bold or Charles the Dauphin.
No. Just pick more names. Come on. Well, there's a new name. Well, not a new name, a different name. 1472, the Duke of Savoy's son, Philibert. He'd been brought up in the court of Anne de Beaujeu. And I don't know why that didn't work out. I mean, this was partly for Savoy to gain important assets. And also it had got out that Louis was trying to marry Mary to his son. The Duke of Savoy was very keen to prevent that. So he quickly got his son's name down on the list. Philibert would go on to marry Margaret of Austria. In that it is a very small world.
Yes. That is strange, isn't it? So your former fiancé marries your father-in-law.
Yes. I think you're quicker at working these things out than I am. 1475, another one we know. Frederick, son of Ferrante of Naples. I'm a lucky escape there, I would think.
Yeah. I mean, not the... If it's Frederick, at least it's not the scariest of the
No, he's the
family.
least scary of them. But I wouldn't want to be part of the court of Naples, however cultured and Renaissance-y it was. Mm-hmm. It would have been a good move, since Burgundy and Naples had created an alliance against France. And we have to consider the Duke of Milan, Matthias Corvinus of Hungary, and little Geoffrey Borgia married into Naples. So it's a vital power, if slightly weird.
Yeah. Just don't look in the jars, okay?
Yes. What's this door marked museum? No, keep away, keep away. Mary ruling. In 1477, Charles the Bold was killed at the Battle of Nancy, and, altogether now, had his face eaten off by wolves. Oh, I'm looking forward to next season. We can stop saying that. But we have catchphrases for then, no doubt.
All sorts of other horrible fates instead.
Mary immediately became ruler. She was 20, and Louis XI immediately stepped in to see if he could relieve her of some of that troublesome territory. It would be very onerous for a woman to have to do all that ruling.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe he could lighten the load by taking some of it. He took the Duchy of Burgundy, Artois, Picardy, and Franche-Comté. Mary sent out letters pleading with the heads of territories to stick with the Burgundian house. Please don't abandon me. The town of Arras heeded her call, and I bet they wished they hadn't. This was when Louis sent Philippe de Commines and the bastard of Bourbon.
Oh, now I'm picturing him as the bastard of Bourbon, just continually drunk.
To try and talk them round. They refused to submit to Louis unless Mary said they could. Mary wasn't going to say, oh, yeah, you go on, knock yourself out. Louis beheaded 18 burgesses who were discovered on their way to see Mary. He then exiled the entire town, I'm not sure how you exile a town, and renamed it Franchise. And I checked on Google Maps, it's back to being called Arras now. So there doesn't seem to be anywhere called Franchise. So a small but gratifying nod to the people who lived there at the time.
Yeah.
It was at this time that Louis again tried to foist his son Charles on Mary, and it was very much a rough wooing, since he said he would use arms to make the marriage happen if he had to.
Oh, no.
At least first time round, he had the decency to ask the father for his daughter's hand in marriage, not this time.
Well, there is no father now, so obviously it's not our choice.
And this could be said to be Philippe de Comines' doing, since he was the one who suggested marital ties rather than the military option to Louis. It was also around this time that Mary signed the Great Privilege. Some sources say she was forced to sign, but I also read that she was happy to sign because she knew she'd be weak on her own and needed the backing of the States General. The Great Privilege was incredibly before its time and gave rights to various territories. Rights which we saw in Charles the Bold's episode had been taken away from them, often with the use of extreme violence. He did most things with the use of extreme violence.
Yes.
Charles had been trying to centralise control of the area, under him, obviously. This charter recognised that it was made up of several entities. Charles had created the Parliament of I'm never quite sure how you pronounce this, Mechlin, answerable, again, to him. The States General abolished that and replaced it with the Parliament of Paris. It seems an odd choice. I mean, Paris is very much in France.
Yes.
But, yeah, Mary was from then on not able to go to war, make peace, or raise taxes without consulting the Parliament of Paris. But she did have their backing, so it was worth it. Why did the Estates General choose the Parliament of Paris? It was historically thought to act as a buffer between the people of the Low Countries of Burgundy and the Dukes of Burgundy, who could be a little repressive.
Yeah.
It was geographically distant, and so it was thought that the dukes wouldn't be able to put pressure on it as they could with a local court.
Yeah.
Mary wouldn't be as oppressive as her father, but Maximilian might have been.
Yeah.
And talking of Maximilian, Mary and Maxie.
Oh.
Yeah. After that long list of potential suitors, Mary chose, and she did choose him, Maximilian. She was 20, he was a mere stripling of 18. Can't really imagine Maximilian 18.
No.
They married on the 19th of August 1477, and her dad had died that January, so she wasn't ruling alone for very long. On the face of it, he wasn't much of a catch. Obviously, he had no money, as Anne de Beaujeu pointed out quite forcefully. Yes. He also had no army. He had no experience of governing. He didn't really even have the backing of his father, Frederick, since his interests mostly lay with Austria.
Yeah.
But he showed himself to be very good in both the military and, up to a point, the governing, as long as you did what Maxie wanted you to do.
Yeah.
The marriage contract stated that Maximilian wouldn't be able to inherit Burgundian land if the couple had children. So, if and when Mary would die, it would be Philip the Fair who would inherit Burgundy and not Maximilian. And, as I said, this is a love story. Even though initially they had to talk to each other in Latin. For a start, they shared a bedroom, not something that noble couples necessarily did. One of the Naples lot did that as well, didn't it?
Yes.
Was it
Yes.
Alfonso?
Oh. Yeah.
One of them.
One of them.
Maybe she'd seen how little time her father spent with his wives and wanted to do things a little bit differently with her own marriage. They shared their room with each other and also with a dog and some falcons.
Okay, yes, married couple, dog sort of, contentedly on the end of the bed. That's like falcons.
I'm seeing quite a lot of mess here in this bedroom. They danced, they hunted, they listened to music. Mary tried to teach Maximilian ice skating, but he was rubbish at it and kept falling over. It's a real rom-com, isn't it? I don't know if they ever threw a pot together. But it's quite sweet.
Oh, yes. They could both moan about their father.
Yes. And when the children came along, they were a proper family. It was Philip and Margaret and Franz, although Franz died as a baby. Mary nursed the babies herself. And she was a proper housewife, not normal for a ruler. I don't mean she ran about with the hoover and scrubbed behind the fridge or anything, but she chose the menus for her family. And we saw that picture of Philip and his children, all sitting together, and there's little Charles with his ludicrously big chin, and there's a woman turning her eyes to heaven. I'm pretty sure we said that was Mary when we looked at it before. Thinking about it, it can't have been. It must have been Juana. Yeah. So she had every reason to turn her eyes to heaven.
Yeah.
When you think how distant some royal families are forced to be, I mean, this is quite nice. Even if Mary isn't in it, it seems to be a legacy of her way of bringing up the family. A group of people who actually look as if they're enjoying being with each other. And we know that Philip and Juana were not enjoying being with each other, but that's the picture they chose to portray. So that was probably a legacy of Mary, and her way of bringing up her family was carried on into Philip's, potentially, officially.
Sounds lovely, because I mean, we know that they get on, and they get on with her stepmother, and you've got the grandchildren, so it's all lovely.
Yeah, I mean, the grandfathers are at loggerheads most of the time, but you can't have everything. Burgundy was in a bad way. We've seen how, despite the magnificence of the court, the country itself was tearing itself apart, even before Maximilian stepped in after Mary's death. Charles the Bold had lost all his money on those 3 battles we heard about in his episode, which had ended up so disastrously. Especially the last one, obviously for him. He had managed to make himself so unpopular that lots of military captains had gone over to France. And losing the Duchy of Burgundy to Louis was a real blow both to morale and to the collection of taxes. Mary had to pawn most of her heirlooms just to finance the war against France. The States General weren't all that keen on the French war. They could see it wasn't a foregone conclusion that they'd win. So this is quite a different side of Mary the Rich, having to pawn all her things.
Yeah.
Maximilian did a very good job of protecting the land they still had, even though he had the perennial problem of lack of funds. But, he's going to have to get used to that.
Yes.
He got the Order of the Golden Fleece going again, because it sort of fizzled out. Not least because many of the people that Charles had initiated were now dead.
Yeah.
It was an interesting time under Charles.
Yeah.
But the problem Maximilian had was that he wasn't trusted. Why did he want these armies? Was it really to fight the French, or was it to take over Burgundy himself? They lived under an oppressive tyrant in Charles the Bold, and they didn't want another one.
Yeah.
Maybe they could already see this trait in Maximilian's personality. It was lucky Mary was popular, because she was able to soften the blow of Maximilian. Philippe de Comines, about whom we hear so much, thought he'd been badly brought up. Which, if we look at Maximilian's episode, he had been. He hardly dare speak to his father.
Yes.
I think Comines might have a point there. Apparently, when Mary had to make a decision about something, she'd always say she needed to talk it over with her husband and act on his opinion. In reality, she'd make her own decision and Maximilian would go along with it. But I suppose that saved face for him. At least he was being consulted. She didn't just ride roughshod over him like Isabella did with Ferdinand.
Yes. She didn't just say out loud, look, he lives in his own world.
Yes.
Just...
One story that sounds apocryphal to me, but apparently happened. Maximilian wanted to fight a bigger, stronger French army. The States General tried to talk him out of it, but he took no notice. So they asked Mary, for God's sake, talk to your husband. He won't listen to us. Mary told Maxie that of course he could go and fight his battle, But he must come home and say goodbye to her first. Whereupon she locked him in their apartments. It was only when he agreed to go dancing instead that she let him out. Bizarrely, this story was recounted in Maximilian's dubious autobiography, Weisskönig.
Oh.
I don't think it makes him look that good.
No.
And most of the book is about him climbing mountains and crossing frozen rivers to get to his lady wife. This just makes him look weak and a bit silly.
Mind you, that is another classic thing about Arthurian legends, isn't it? That, once you get to the ladies can always play tricks on them and,
True,
make
yeah.
them look silly, and it actually works. Or maybe he's just accepts that maybe he just thinks it's normal that occasionally he gets locked in a small room.
He's thinking, well, this one doesn't smell of cinnamon. Yeah, well, maybe it is the chivalric side of it. Yeah. In their portraits together, Maximilian is shown standing behind Mary. She's always forceful on horseback with a falcon on her arm, but he's just sort of hovering in the background in armour. Later, when he became emperor in his own right, he redressed the balance and had paintings commissioned where he was in front and she was behind. But she was in no position to complain by that point.
Yeah.
Mary's death. In 1482, Mary was out hunting when her horse tripped and threw Mary into a ditch and landed on top of her. And she actually took several weeks to die of her internal injuries. And even more sad, she might have been pregnant. Maximilian was absolutely distraught. So much so that she had to send him out of her room so she could get on with some work with her counsellors. I mean, while she was dying. I mean, not while she was dead.
Yeah.
We're not in Naples. They'd only been married for 5 years. Didn't do too badly. 3 kids in 5 years.
Yeah.
Just before she died, she made her nobles swear to stay loyal to Maximilian and to the children, Philip and Margaret. They did seem happy to swear loyalty to Philip and Margaret, but they had their doubts about Maxie. Mary's tomb. On his mother's death, Philip chose the goldsmith Pieter, I don't know how you pronounce his name, de Baccarat, I'll go with that, to work on her tomb. And it was to be a joint tomb for her and her father, Charles the Bold. And you can see them in Bruges, and very magnificent they look. Baccarat worked on Mary's from 1455 to 1502, and Charles's tomb was made after Mary's, and you can tell. At least apparently you could tell. I couldn't find any picture clear enough to be able to see this properly, but Mary's figure is medieval. It's quite stiff. Her face is sort of beatified. Charles's figure is more Renaissance-y. His face has more character in it. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, I can see it a little bit. I mean, it's a side view that I've managed to get, which means I think I'd be able to see it better if I could see it full on,
I couldn't find a decent picture.
He's got distinctive jowls.
And that's when he's lying down.
Yes.
So between them they span the Middle Ages and the Renaissance on this tomb. If only we could see it. I'd have to go out to Bruges sometime. And incidentally, the body in Charles's tomb might not be him, because he was first buried in Nancy, where he died, and later moved to Bruges. The officers of Nancy weren't that keen to lose him, so they dug him up very reluctantly and a bit haphazardly.
Oh.
So no one's entirely sure if they've got the right body, or all of the body, or bits of the body. During the French Revolution, here we go again, Revolutionary Guards were told to take anything of value out of the churches. So the verger of Bruges dismantled these tombs and hid them, which is quite an undertaking.
Yeah, they're big.
Yeah, and the guards knew they'd been there and instigated a hunt, but they never found them. They came out of hiding in 1810 when Napoleon asked to see them.
Ah, yes.
But the tombs reappeared, but not the bodies. It said they'd been thrown into a pit somewhere. No one knew where.
Oh.
It does seem odd for the verger to think this needs savings and to save the bit of stone, but not the people.
They are very beautiful, though, these tombs. I mean, not just the effigies. I mean, the tombs themselves have got lovely sort of filigree on them. I mean, they're a real work of art. You kind of see the Virgin going, look, we don't even know if it's really them,
Yes.
but the tombs are a work of art I have to preserve before the revolutionaries melt them down.
Yes. Well, I'm glad he did. In 1979, excavations were dug under the tombs with the idea of giving them a more stable concrete base. Under Mary's tomb was a vault, and in this vault was a scattered skeleton, which is almost certainly Mary. Mm-hmm. She was sharing her grave with 2 bishops from the 12th and 13th century, and an urn containing Philip the Fair's heart, which must have been brought back from Spain, because Philip was buried reluctantly with the in-laws, wasn't he?
Oh, yes.
Mary's skeleton revealed that she was 1.6 metres, so about 5'2". Mm-hmm. She was blood group A. She was also short of 11 teeth, but she was born that way. She hadn't lost them. It's a mutation. We've come across somebody else with that mutation. Was it Cecily of Neville? Somebody else had it. Can't remember. Oh. There was damage to some of the bones, but how much of that was the fall from her horse and how much due to the fact that a load of rubbish had been lobbed into the grave on top of her? It's quite hard to tell. Mary wasn't buried with Maximilian, not least because he outlived her by 37 years. He was buried in Wiener Neustadt. But they are still together because Maximilian's heart is buried in Mary's tomb as well.
Oh.
And if you remember from Max's episode, he had 28 life-size figures around his tomb, and one of those is Mary of Burgundy.
Wow.
Also, to my astonishment, one of them is Bianca Maria Sforza.
Oh. Oh, he remembers her this time.
Yes. And one is King Arthur. So I think you're right about the chivalric aspect.
Mind you, that is the most over-the-top tomb.
It is. And that's the smaller version that was eventually made. It wasn't what he'd planned. And that was from a man who said, "Oh, I'm so humble, knock my teeth out before burying me. Knock my teeth out, but I want the biggest, best tomb." So that was the short but eventful life of Mary of Burgundy.
Again, maybe surprising from the daughter of Charles the Bold, but seems sensible, seems conciliatory, seems family-focused, and was lucky enough to marry someone who she really got on with.
Yes.
Albeit...
And who's besotted by her, from what we hear. Yeah, well, if you listen to Margaret of Burgundy's episodes, between them, they come across as a very sensible couple.
Yes.
And Maximilian.
Yes, this is another of these great counterfactuals. If she'd lived another 30 years, could she have kept Maxie a little more under control?
She might have done. Yeah, yes, if she just kept saying, "You can't afford it, Maxie. You can't afford it." Oh, all right. Go and write your book.
Yeah, come on, let's do some ice skating.
Yes. Yeah, I could do with a laugh, yes. Yeah, I thought it was quite a touching moment. So thank you for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.